All right, guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. Um, how's y'all's heart pressure? I tell you what, that was an intense game. And before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to one of my coworkers. Friday afternoon, or Friday morning, I should say, I was sitting there at my desk doing my normal thing that I do in the real world, and our company has company suite tickets, and I've posted pictures before me up there. I've been up there before, and it's really it's a nice perk as part of that company that you have the opportunity to go to games like this. And my incredibly attractive, intelligent, wonderful, just the boss of bosses, receptionist Meredith North. I have her Tinder profile, by the way, for all those who are curious.
Oh, wait a minute.
Geez, I told her I'd say that. She does not have a Tinder profile. She is a very good person. But
Oh, wait a minute. Why does a Tinder profile have to mean that they're a bad
you're
person?
right. You're right. I'm assuming things, but
It's
anyway,
amazing how
she's a
coming up with such a elevation status. I'm noticing a trend.
yeah. Well, she asked me Friday morning. She says, "Listen, I know you wanted to go to one of the games this year. We have two extra passes. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Well, hell yeah!" So I got to go to the game. Very unexpected pleasure. I got to go with my youngest daughter, who had never been up to the suite before. A lot of fun. For the first half, I was happy, pumped up. Most of the third quarter, I was okay. Fourth quarter, I was pissed until the near end of the game. So um, I want to thank Meredith for giving me those tickets. She wanted the shout outs. I'm giving her a official shout out. Sean, how are you doing tonight?
Well, it's been kind of a long and arduous day, but I think I'm going to probably survive now. And in a matter of full disclosure, uh, such as the life of someone that works graveyard shifts exclusively. I saw about the last 8 minutes of the game. So I think 2 minutes after I woke up, Carolina tied the score. So I didn't see a whole lot of the game, but I've heard and seen several of the highlights and what have you.
It Well, that's the reason why this show is called the Agony and the Ecstasy today, because um, the ecstasy of a win, we're that much closer to the best Saints fan was busy. That's why the youngest got to go. That's my daughter chiming in, my older daughter, who has been up there so many times. I think she has her own personal seat up there. So, um, yes, Reagan enjoyed going. Sorry, Allison, it was last minute. Um, but this episode is called the Agony and the Ecstasy because if it wasn't for a missed field goal and two missed extra points, we're probably talking about a loss today, not a
Yeah.
win Sunday. And it's very
Well,
frustrating because the Saints played well enough to win.
I try to kind of sort of put this in context.
Mhm.
I've heard the old saying before that there's no such thing as an ugly win. Well, yeah, there is. This is an ugly win, but it was a typical NFC South divisional game.
Yep.
This is the same thing that happens every year. Normally, you play a team twice, you're going to have either one close game and a blowout, or two very close games decided by one position. And I've heard you make the comment a million times on this show. To get to where you're going to win a Super Bowl, you have to be not only be good, you have to be not only consistent, but you have to catch those lucky breaks along the way.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened Sunday.
Yep. Well, I said even in 2009, if you look back at that season, there's about 4 or 5 games, even though we went 13-0, about 4 or 5 games that we could have lost, maybe we should have lost, but we didn't lose. I'm thinking of games like the Redskins game for one,
Yeah.
the Falcons game, which was an NFC South game, where you're playing Chris
The Miami
Redmond,
game.
the Miami game. Um, there were games where we did not play well. I'm probably getting this confused. I don't remember. Did we play the Rams in 2009?
I do believe we did.
I know we played the AFC
Second half
East.
kickoff was returned by Roby.
Yeah, right. And we played. That was the game, I believe, where Reggie Bush kind of won the game at the end. But like,
If memory serves me correctly, it was a very sloppy game. We had
yeah,
like 3 or 4 turnovers.
right. Colson fumbled. He was leaping into the end zone, and they
Yeah.
punched the ball out, and he fumbled for a touchback. That's the play I really remember. That and the Roby touchdown. But I couldn't remember if that was 2009 or not. But yeah. So Allison's saying we didn't play that. I'll have to look at the schedule again. But regardless, there were games you could have said the Jets game was another game we could have lost. So there were you have to get that lucky break, and having a kicker essentially miss a chip shot is one of those lucky breaks. And it was kind of foretold that this could happen because he missed 2 extra points. And yeah, it at the end of the day, we're 9-2. If we go on to win the Super Bowl, very few people are going to remember how poorly the Saints played from the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter on. Because the first quarter, we dominated. We really did.
Well, in a few minutes, when we get into the meat of the show, I want to discuss some things that I'm noticing, and probably you and I take opposite sides of the equation there. And I'm not going to say debate, but I want you to talk me off the ledge on a few of these points.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and pay the bills, by the way. We need to do that.
We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight on the Under the Dome podcast. We love you guys. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We'll get Twitter handles at the end of the show. And we are a part of the Saints News Network, which is also a division of SportsIllustrated.com. And we thank Kyle T. Mosley for that opportunity. And now, in the words of Motley Crue, on with the show.
We didn't play the Rams in 2009. That's probably the 2011 game I'm thinking of then. That we played very sloppy.
I could swear that I remember seeing.
Or it could have been 2000. No, 2011. We lost that game. Might be 2010.
I would almost swear that there was highlights from that game on that 09
No,
season highlight.
it's Lions, Eagles, Bills, Jets, Giants, Dolphins, Falcons at home, Panthers at home. That was the fumble by that was recovered, and a touchdown was scored by Anthony. No, the defensive tackle who came from the Rams. No, not Adel. No, the other one. The one who got suspended because of Bountygate. Hargrove. Yes, Anthony Hargrove. Yeah, we did play the Rams. We did 28-23. It was November 15th. That's the game. We won that game 28-23. Roby's touchdown was one of the big scores. Let me see. Breakdown.
We played pretty much. Here again, I'm going off memory here.
Yeah.
The first half, every time we got a scoring opportunity, we squandered it or turned the ball
That was the Colston fumble. I'm looking at the stats of that game right now.
And the opening kickoff of the second half,
Roby scored. Yeah, and that was really the difference in the game. But okay, all right. So that answers that question. Okay, back to the show.
Did you happen to see their buddies from San Diego?
Uh-huh.
I'm drawing a blank.
Rick. Yeah.
Rick made the trip to New Orleans for that. I was so happy for him.
Really? That's good.
Yeah. I told him that if they didn't do good, he couldn't go back. But now everybody else is gone. It's time for me to get to go to a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you don't want to go to the Carolina game this year because that could be a game where we can rest our starters. So
well, and another thing, it's in Carolina. So.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
I probably won't make that.
Well, there's only 2 home games left. 49ers and Indianapolis.
Yeah,
so Indianapolis is Monday night.
Scares me to death, and the other one is San Francisco.
Well, I was saying this earlier. Our luck, we're going to kick the 49ers' ass, kind of like we did with the not the Rams. Yeah, the Rams and the Bengals last year, and the Eagles. And then we'll either lose to the Colts or the Titans. One of those that would be a typical Saints kind of thing,
Yeah.
But I think we did. Calvin said it last time. I think we played our one terrible game of the year. That the WTF game of the season. That was the first Falcons game.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you want to say?
If everything plays out the way that we need it to, and the way that you and I would like for it to, and we go ahead and we seal the deal with the Falcons, I think as long as we secure one of the first 2 playoff spots, I don't care who else wins. That's not important. I would like the number 1 seed, but I mean, 1 or 2, either one.
Well, the 49ers have a hell of a test coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
They have to play. Jerry, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But they have to play the Ravens. The 49ers and the Ravens play, and the 49ers go to Baltimore. So that's going to be tough. That is going to be very tough on them. It's going to be interesting to see how that defensive line handles Ingram and Lamar Jackson.
Well, I'm going to tell you, everybody just couldn't say enough about the Rams defensive line, and he embarrassed them last night.
Okay. I'm going to go off on a tangent real quick. I am going to talk about what Jerry just brought up in the chat about the Saints not being flexed to either the primetime game or the 4 o'clock game. But first, I'm going to go on a little rant for a minute because, and it's kind of been going on Saints social media and Twitter and stuff since the Rams got demolished by Lamar Jackson last night. Last night, it was Monday night. Anyway, so many people, especially in sports, live in the moment, okay? They remember the past, but always the present is treated as this is the way it's going to be from now on. This guy is the greatest player to ever play the position from now on. Or this guy is going to change the position or change the league or whatever from now on. And 99.9% of the time, the people making that statement are wrong. But they're never called on it because something happens next tomorrow that, no, not this guy is going to change the position from now on. This guy is going to change the game from now on. And you see this going on with Lamar Jackson right now. What was it? 3 years ago, Wentz uh, for the Philadelphia Eagles was the MVP candidate. He was an outstanding draft pick. He was fantastic. Look at what he does as quarterback. He gets injured. Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl, and Wentz has never recaptured that level of play he was showing prior to his injury that Super Bowl season. And now Wentz is kind of looked at almost like, maybe we kept the wrong guy. Maybe we should have kept Nick Foles and traded Wentz.
Well, Wentz's trajectory was parallel with Goff.
Yeah, well, that's the next person I'm going to talk about.
Their trajectories are still somewhat parallel because people are now 10 weeks ago, people were talking about Goff being an MVP candidate, and now they're talking about is it time to move on from him?
Well, yeah. I mean, Goff just got paid right before the season began. What, $135 million, the biggest contract ever?
Yeah.
And McVay was a genius. We wanted every coach in the league, every team in the league wanted to hire an assistant that learned under McVay. I mean, you see them all over the league. Anybody that McVay breathed on, that was McVay was the new coach. He was a genius. He was the boy genius. And Goff was his protege. Look what he did with Goff. He made him into a superstar quarterback. And then this whole season for the Rams, complete with the ass blasting they got Monday night, because there's no other way of putting it. I mean, you get 46 points hung on you, and your offense is so inept that there's no other way to put that. And now Goff and McVay, that's old news. That's yesterday. It's Patrick Mahomes. Look at him. The no-look passes. He is unbelievable. He threw 50 touchdown passes last year. This is the guy who's going to change the league. He gets hurt this year. The Chiefs aren't doing as well. They lost games at home, even with Mahomes at quarterback. And now all eyes are on Lamar Jackson. He's the MVP candidate now. He's the guy that's
going on the subject. I would just like to state for the record publicly that the fact that not one single talking head that covers, and I use that term loosely, covers the National Football League is not one single one of them is given any respect in this MVP race to a player that is having arguably one of the greatest single seasons that a wide receiver has ever had in this league, and that be Michael Thomas. He gets not even a sniff in the MVP conversation, and I think that's absolutely a tragedy.
Sunday night was the first time I saw I think it was Sunday night, it might have been Monday night, was the first time I saw a graphic with Jackson, Russell Wilson, Michael Thomas, and Christian McCaffrey all in the picture for MVP. But that was the first time I've seen Michael Thomas recognized. Because, it had been Monday night. Because Sunday night, I'm watching the highlights, and Rodney Harrison is saying, how come you're not covering? How come nobody covers Michael Thomas? And, that's how they look at it. He's the only guy they got out there they're going to throw to. How come you're not double covering him? And it's like, I just yelled at the TV, they all know this. Michael Thomas just gets open. Your old ass would have gotten beat too, even if you could still play. And you'd been like, I know I got to cover this guy. How is he getting open? That's a tribute to how good he is. So I just wanted to get that off my chest because I'm frustrated. This is not to take anything away from Lamar Jackson. Please don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is the hype machine that builds up for the next shiny new thing that they think is going to be the player of the decade. It never really falls that way. Meanwhile, you've got guys like Drew Brees, the man who's only thrown the most 5,000-yard seasons in NFL history. The guy you're talking about.
And even that, he has thrown more by himself than all others combined.
Yeah, he is the yardage leader. He's about to hit 10,000 attempts. He's about to, probably by the end of this season now, surpass Peyton Manning for most touchdown passes. The man is in his 19th season. He's a remarkable level of consistency, of excellence, regardless of his age, and he barely gets mentioned. Michael Thomas, let's talk about a young new player. Third consecutive season with over 100 receptions. Unbelievable catch percentage compared to targets. Okay. He is over 1,000 yards receiving. He's at 1,200 yards receiving, and no one talks
Over
about him.
100 receptions.
Yeah, no one talks about him.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh yeah, he's that guy, you know. But
And we may as well go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody knows, and this is going to sound to some that are listening. This will sound like a Homer comment, but it's not.
oh,
Everybody knows that the reason that he is not getting respect, he is not getting recognition, is because he plays in New Orleans. And if Michael Thomas was doing what he's doing in Foxborough or in Dallas or
in Dallas, in Dallas, if he was doing this in Dallas, he would be the greatest receiver in football, no doubt.
It's sad that this is what passes for sports journalism.
Well, it's because you're in New Orleans and you're a small market, and there's not much winning history. There's not a championship history. So, it just kind of, you just go about do your thing, Your history basically is you're a team with a lot of recent success, but that's going to end. You're going to go back to being the Aints. You're going to go back to being, that team in the South, great city to go visit, pick up a nice win. Yeah, you might win a few games in regular season, but you're never going to be a champion. You're never going to be a dynasty, So it drives me insane. It really, really does.
And it's also worth noting that this incredible season that he's had, the Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback that feeds him the ball to get these outstanding numbers, he's only played half the games this year.
Well, and to me, that's what makes Thomas even greater because he didn't have Breeze for 5 games. So you can't just say, well, that's Breeze making him a good receiver like Colston or someone like that. He had Russell Wilson. He had Teddy Bridgewater throwing in the ball. And he's still, and this is not a knock on Teddy, please don't misunderstand me. He gets his catches regardless of who's throwing him the ball. That's really what it's about. He is just as productive with Bridgewater as he was with Breeze.
I beat this horse almost on a weekly basis for 3 years. To succeed at the top level of this sport, it's not about being great.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being consistent. And Michael Thomas is the very model and example of consistency.
Yeah. And I fell in love with Thomas the first time I saw him in a preseason game because, and I think it was the New England game, was the first time I saw him play in 2016 because he went out and attacked that ball. They threw the ball, and instead of waiting for the ball to come to his body like a Ted Ginn, trying to catch it with his body all the time, he went out there, and I kept saying it over and over. I said, that boy snatches that ball out the air. He goes and gets it. And that ball doesn't move once his hands touch it. He's got incredibly strong hands, and his route running was just unbelievable. So yeah, it's when from that point on, like this guy is special. You know, he doesn't take his eyes off the ball. He looks it in every time. Doesn't matter what's going to happen. He goes out and he doesn't wait for that ball to get to him. He goes and gets it, and that is just shows you the kind of receiver he is, and that's what elite receivers used to do or do. They go get that ball. And
Okay, it's time for the devil's advocate.
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, since the game, there are some alarming things that I've considered and recognized, and I just want to list off a few of them. And you taught me how to have being in that mindset.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost, the Saints have absolutely no killer instinct.
Okay, I'm gonna let that go because I disagree. But go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. I present these things to you. I want you to tell me why that is or isn't correct.
Okay, I disagree with that because, and I blame, and it's not really blame isn't the right word. It's I look at the '09 and '11 seasons as kind of like the reason why we think this way. We look at killer instinct, or we assign killer instinct by hanging 20 points on a team. Um, that's not necessarily a killer instinct. You know what's killer instinct? Stopping a team inside your 5 3 straight times from scoring a touchdown. A BS pass interference call gets reversed or called on a challenge, and you stop them 3 more times to force a field goal to give your offense one more chance. That's a killer instinct to me. Then
Okay.
driving down the field to not only get the field goal, get in field goal range, but taking a shot in the end zone. I mean, if Ted Ginn runs a better route and Breeze kind of puts the ball over more towards the middle, instead of that picture of Lutz up there I got tonight, there's a picture of Ted Ginn scoring that touchdown. And we win on a touchdown, not a field goal. So, I think we do have a killer instinct. I just think right now we play games that are pretty close to the vest. And it bothers us as fans because it makes it very stressful because we're not putting up 2 and 3 score leads that are insurmountable for another team. They have a chance to come back, and then we're coming back on that team and closing it out and winning the game. So, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, just for the purpose of clarification,
Okay.
with the comment that I made referring to the killer instinct,
Okay.
you gave your take on what killer instinct was. Now, when I say that they're not showing that killer instinct, that's to me that is when you come out and you play well enough in the first half to
Yeah.
hang 21, 28 points on somebody, and a quarter later you're fighting for your life.
Yeah. Um. I.
Now, granted, this was a team that we play twice a year
Mhm.
every year, but it's happening way too often. The Seattle game, we thrashed their brains in, and
Yeah.
then gave
Yeah.
up
We
so much
gave up. We gave
yardage
up.
at the end of the game that we were sitting there hoping that we got another stop.
Yeah.
Um, I just think that we should be a little more
You want to
efficient.
see. You want to see the defense do to other teams what the Ravens basically did to the 49ers, not the 49ers, to the Rams, what you saw the 49ers do to the Packers, where, you pretty much, or what the 49ers did to the Panthers, what the Bucks kind of did to the Falcons Sunday. You kind of want to see that game where this team takes the lead and just keeps moving the ball, and the other team never really has a chance to ever get back in the game.
Yeah,
I know what you're
I
saying.
see you come out with a really good game plan, which allows for that 28-point lead. But
Yeah.
I want to see you keep your foot on the gas. I
Yep.
want to see you consistently hold this team in bay. Now, I realize that this game is a lot more about adjustments than it is preparation once the game starts.
Well, there's a reason why, too, the Panthers kept getting second and third chances. The same reason why the Falcons beat us.
And that's another thing that's alarming is
the penalties.
the penalties.
Right.
Now, true enough, I cannot, again, complete honesty, I cannot sit here tonight and tell you that I agree with every call that was made. Now, there have been games where we played with way too many penalties, and I'll sit here and I'll tell you the truth. Every time they show a replay of the flag, it was a justifiable call.
Well, now, this was one of them.
What Sunday was complete garbage.
We had, I think the story said 16 or 18 penalties. 12 were accepted for 123 yards. And at least, I'd say 5 of those 12, maybe 4 of those 12 were iffy at best. One of them was the pass interference call offensive pass interference call they called on back to 2 of them. One on Cooks, one on Thomas. Cook going down the middle of the field, and he basically shoves the guy off of him, and no arm extension. The guy just flops. I see every receiver in the NFL do that.
Michael Irvin did that all the way to the Hall of Fame.
Right. And 9 times out of 10, even the announcers said that's a good non-call. They're both competing for the ball. He didn't extend his arms. He didn't use it to get separation. The guy's on him. He just takes his arm and moves him. Doesn't go full out, just moves him. And the guy flops. Michael Thomas, he just turned around. I mean, that was, again, no full extension of arms. He swats the guy's arms away and turns as he does it. He does not get separation that way. That guy flops. Flag. So there's 2 points for us.
We were on the show a week or 2 ago talking about the incredibly low rate at which the pass interference review has been successful. All teams for it to be successful against.
That's my conspiracy theory. That's my league vendetta. I said in the teaser for the show that does the league have a vendetta against the Saints? There was a story on WWL's TV's website. The Saints are the most penalized team in the league. And I said my little good, bad, and ugly on Sunday night. With us getting 12 penalties and the Panthers only getting 3 accepted penalties, that's, in basketball terms, that's like being in a double bonus. The other team is now taking free throws, and we're stuck at 3 fouls. That's ridiculous. That's impossible. That is impossible. No team is that disciplined, is that well coached, I guess, to avoid penalties. You have that kind of discrepancy unless we're a dirty team. And I don't believe we're a dirty team. I don't think Peyton coaches to be a dirty team. I think they're just picking on us, especially with the pass interference stuff, because the officials hate that a judgment call can be reviewed, and they saw an opportunity to stick it to the Saints by reversing that. Because last week I'm watching Denver's receivers getting mugged at the end of the game in the end zone on a potential game-winning touchdown, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's not pass interference." The dude got mugged, you know. And yeah, this was a home game. Calvin's right. It was a home game, a perfect time to teach the Saints a lesson, because I've always felt that since they hate this rule, that the best ammunition they have for this to go against this rule is to say, hey, look, we did it this season. We'll present it to the rules committee. Only have one, now two overturned calls out of what, 35, 40 challenges?
Something like that.
Yeah. So as you can see, we generally get it right. So you know what? We don't really need to have this rule anymore, and we can go back to the way things were before, rather than improve the gross incompetence of these officials. Go pull up off of YouTube tonight, everybody. Go pull up the Saints Panthers highlights from Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, and there's one play. I think it's Breeze's pass to Thomas. I know the Saints are going this going if your screen you're looking right to left, going from right to left. There's a play where a Panthers defensive lineman has the Saints defensive end, I mean not defensive end, offensive tackle, the guy who replaced Armstead. I cannot say his name properly, so I'm not even going to try. Onima, I think is how you say his name. But anyway, he has that dude's head bent over like this, you know, and clearly there's a hand in the dude's face. No flag, no flag. Saints were flagged, I think, on that play, but no flag on that. Ginn got interfered with not once but twice on his deep passes. One of them, the safety, I think that was Trey Boston, has Ginn's shoulder pad. Hold on to his shoulder pad. No flag. Oh, that's uncatchable. Yeah, it's uncatchable because he's got Ginn holding Ginn back. They got a handful of jersey on another one. No flag.
And it's not just the Saints. It's every game I watch.
Oh, yeah. And I trace that back to those officials going on strike in 2012. I said this when it happened. I said, you watch all those officials who went on strike. Within 3 years, they're going to all be replaced. The league is not going to tolerate that, not for a part-time gig. And sure enough, where are all those officials? They've either been moved up, and I think a couple of them are now doing like the third in the broadcast booth kind of thing, where they kind of go over the rules. Those are some former officials. And Mike Pereira is long gone from being head of officiating. So you've got young officials who lack the experience, and to see the speed of this kind of game. They may have come from college football. Who knows where they came from? But that's part of the incompetence of these officials. The rules are getting more and more difficult to enforce because there's so many judgment calls, especially when it comes to roughing the passer, when it comes to pass interference, when it comes to a lot of that's how some officials that's how they play the game, and other ones it's like no, I'm gonna call holding on every play because I can, so
Well, I still say it goes right back to on that field, they are the absolute authority. And this this perspective rule change is a question of their authority, and they don't like it.
Well, and you're making more and more rules that are subject to interpretation and judgment. That's not, in the old days I watched, and this is kind of an aside, guys. I watched Super Bowl IV last night. I know this is stupid, but it was the first Super Bowl played in New Orleans. Somebody actually took the time to restore the game as best they could. It's most of it's in black and white, but they spliced in the NFL films footage with it. You get to see the entire halftime show. And then at the end of the game, and every time they go to NFL footage, it's in color. At the end of the game, the last 2.5 minutes, I think, of the game is back in full color. But the reason why I'm even bringing this up is because how few rules they had in the game back then and how they were very clear on what they were. Tripping, personal
Yeah.
foul for roughing. It wasn't a judgment call on these things. Holding, interference. They weren't judgment calls so much as it was. This is clear. This is exactly what happened. You stuck your leg out. You tripped this dude. That's a tripping penalty. That's it. That's a hold. You had a handful of the guy's jersey. None of this, okay, if you keep it inside the shoulders, you can legally grab, that kind of stuff. No, it was very clear. This is a hold. This is a face mask. This is whatever. This is roughing the punter, whatever. There was no gray area, and how few penalties were called. And I noticed this a lot watching old football games. Uh, Shit that happens today, I'm like going, yeah, that's a personal foul. Oh, that's roughing the passer today. Oh God, they'd never let him get away with that. That kind of stuff. Back then, you did because there
I
were so
shudder
few
to think
rules.
how a game would be called now with players like Jack Tatum and Mel Blount.
Oh, they get thrown out. They got
Yeah.
ejected a long time ago. They because you can't play the game that way anymore. You know, I know players are bigger, faster, stronger, all that thing, and I agree with that. But you can't play the game that way anymore.
I
Back
think
then,
that the game it has to, it has to change. I get that, but
well,
if you don't bring the rules and the enforcement of those rules along at the same pace as the game changes,
mhm.
you're going to have what we're talking about right
Well, and that's just it. The more rules they put into play, the more things they do to for safety's sake. I'm not discounting that, but the more rules they put into play, the more penalties are going to get called, and especially penalties that they consider points of emphasis, like a roughing the passer, like pass interference now, which has now become because of what the Saints said and pushed for. Pass interference has now become a point of emphasis for these guys, and they're not going to overturn themselves. So,
now, unless it's the same.
unless it's the Saints, right?
Okay, the next thing. This is something that I saw on social media
Hmm.
quite a bit Sunday evening. Alvin Kamara is not the same Alvin.
Yeah, I saw that too. In fact, my wife and I were talking about that um, yesterday and today. Um, how much of this is Alvin Kamara and how much of this was Mark Ingram? Think about what you saw last year. Every time those two were together, who was the guy, the jokester, the one bringing all the life to the interview? It was Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
Now you have just Alvin Kamara, and you might be seeing Alvin Kamara's real personality. A guard, I saw some videos on Kamara his rookie season, talking about how he's a guarded person. He doesn't, he's a good guy. He likes people, but he's also guarded. He has a close circle of people that he trusts. So, when people are seeing things now um, about Kamara, you got to keep in mind Ingram's not there cutting up and making Kamara laugh, and Kamara feeding off of that behavior. He's more of a straight man to Ingram's foolishness in a good way. And
Yeah.
now you're seeing Ingram doing that in Baltimore, and look at Baltimore now. Baltimore looks like they're having a lot of fun. Winning helps.
Rule number one, it's always easier to laugh and joke and have a good time when you're succeeding.
Sure, absolutely.
And when the
But
Saints have won with Kamara in the lineup, it's been pretty close sledding most of the time.
Calvin, I'm telling you, I wrote this too on my Good, Bad, and Ugly. He said this was the official's chance to make the Saints lose off that pass interference call, and the Panthers blew it, and they did. If the Saints would have lost that game because of the pass interference reversal, we would have been mocked by every fan group, especially the Rams, on social media. It would be the conversation throughout the week on all the talking head shows on sports. It would have been worse than what we had to deal with after the championship game. Thank God we won that game, and it kind of killed that potential narrative because they would have loved to. Well, you asked for this, and look what happened. That's karma, and I'm like, no, karma is what happened to the Rams in the Super Bowl and Monday night. That's karma, but that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this:
All right.
what do the Saints have to do? Talking about the penalties, talking about the mistakes they made, the lack of a killer instinct, as you saw. What do they have to do Thursday night to kind of reverse that narrative? Because you're going to be on national TV, you're going to be on NBC. And I do want to, I didn't forget, Jerry, I want to talk about why the Saints were not flexed to Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. They're still playing at noon against the 49ers next weekend.
Well, as I see
Or the
it
following
is
weekend.
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, you know that the officiating is going to be this way. You
Yeah.
know that you're playing on the road. You know that it's going to be a prime time game. You know all these things. You got to find a way to operate within those parameters. You know that they're calling, for example, pass interference and hold. You know that they're calling those very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make the adjustments because standing there and crying about it once it's over is not going to change anything. The only thing that matters at the end of the day is whether you won or whether you lost.
Yeah.
And if you lose because you can't stop committing penalties, that's on you.
Well, yeah, my thing is you got to play smart football. You have to be aware that, and if you want to say it's this way, then it's this way. That you're playing not only the other team, but you're playing the officials. Don't give them a reason to call a penalty.
That's a short way of saying
Yeah, Cam Jordan, you don't go ahead and try and punch that ball out. Don't do something like that. Even if you don't hear a whistle, just hold him until you hear the whistle. Don't try that extra step, you know, because that roughing the passer call, and of course, I'm thinking that Ron Rivera teaches his players to flop because, oh my God, Kyle Allen drops on the ground like, oh my God, he killed me. Did you see that? And I saw so much flopping going on. It was just unbelievable.
it looks like
And
LeBron James game.
right, it's like a basketball game. So, you have to play extra smart. Not only you have to take that attitude. I don't want to give them a reason to throw a flag. It doesn't mean you concede throws, but it just means that you do everything you can to get in a position that you make it really, really hard for them to call a penalty on you.
Yeah. Error on the side of caution.
Yeah. If Marcus Williams doesn't get beat because he got beat, and turns his head and does everything else, that's not pass interference. Yes, there's no such thing as face guarding, but they called it because he made contact before the ball got there and didn't have his head turned. Because you get your head turned, that meant you were trying to make a play on the ball and you thought you had a chance to get to the ball. The receiver is turning into the defensive back. It was an underthrown ball. I mean, pure and simple. It bounces off of Marcus Williams. It's an underthrown ball. Turning your head around, you now have you're showing you're in a position to make the interception, which we did make the interception, and it's a shame because it was wasted. Um, that's the kind of stuff you need. You need to play smarter against the Falcons. To me, it's injuries. You have to make up for those injuries. You're not going to have Armstead, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming the same guy, number 60, playing left tackle. You already have Easton in there at guard. So we're probably going to see a lot of max protect, Clap on one side, um, and Hill on the other side, kind of formations to help out that tackle. We're probably going to see a lot of running of the ball against the Falcons, more than you saw Sunday. So that's the kind of stuff we have to do, and no holding calls on these running plays.
You got to use the first Atlanta game as a template. Everything that you did not succeed at that day, you're going to have to succeed.
That defensive line has to get off their blocks. They cannot let themselves get tied up by that crap offensive line like they did. They got to get pressure on Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan will throw interceptions. You get in his face, he's throwing interceptions. He's like Jameis Winston in that regard. He is not comfortable with pressure. Davenport hit that clutch sack. That was a big deal. And boy, I really thought they were going to call it on him, but I think they were just surprised that a man that big and that tall could leap over an offensive line and not use leverage to do it. That I don't know if you saw that part of the game on that final field goal. They called it a hold on the Panthers, but I think we all thought they were going to call leverage on Davenport because I think they were shocked that he, without taking a running start, because that's illegal too, he was able to leap from the defensive line position completely over the offensive line without using. Yeah. Probably no, he probably would have tripped and fell on his face. I don't think they would have called it because unless he uses his hand, to catch himself, So yeah, I mean, I think they were just shocked that he was able to do that. So yeah, that was very impressive. It really was.
I think that it's important to notice that Atlanta they're in a very scary position because they have absolutely nothing to lose.
They haven't for the past 3 weeks, but I don't know what the hell the Bucks did to them, but they destroyed them.
Yeah,
I think, and this is what I said 3 weeks ago, and I'm gonna say it again this week. With Atlanta, you have to jump on them early and make them make mistakes early, so they get into their heads. Here we go again, and kind of roll over. Because I think that's what happened with the Bucks. It did not happen with us the first time we played them, and it didn't happen in Carolina. If they feel like whatever they do, it's wrong, they kind of lose their will to fight. But if they feel like, hey, you know what, we're getting success, we're able to run the ball on these guys, we weren't supposed to be able to do that. Hey, look, we're catching some passes. Hey, look, we scored a touchdown. And we stopped them. We didn't let them score. They get more and more confident. And by the end of the game, they were sky high.
Yeah.
You gotta kill the life out of them early. You know, make
All
them
right.
feel like there's no hope early, and they'll fold like a cheap tent.
Yes.
But that's to me that's the key of the game. And that means Murray's got to continue having his big games. I think we saw a good balance of Murray and Kamara last week. I'd like to see more of that, more than 18 carries. And I'd like to see more Cook. And Thomas is going to do what he does, and I'd like to see Ginn actually catch some of these balls that are coming to him in these deep passes.
Yeah.
Um, we may not see Julio Thursday because he has not practiced yesterday or today. And tomorrow's the day they declare who's out.
Okay.
So,
Do we have any updated information on whether or not we will have that?
no. I think Lattimore's limited practice yesterday and today. I didn't look today, but he was also limited last week. So he may play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not seen anything more than that, but he has practiced. The only people who have not practiced are Pete, obviously Armstead, and one other person I saw. Somebody did not practice, but it wasn't Lattimore.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like he could have played against Carolina, but they held him out
Yeah.
just to be able to be a full go for
hmm
the Falcons.
Right, because Carolina's receiving core, they're good, but not great. I mean, your boy PJ Williams made him look great because DJ Moore chewed him up pretty good. But I think Christian McCaffrey had more to do with that than just Moore, doing what he did. Because they knew that our defense was keying on McCaffrey, and they ran a lot of misdirection jet sweeps to Moore and those little quick passes because the Saints were jumping all over McCaffrey every time he lined up in the backfield.
Yeah. Zach Line was the other injury.
Who's that? Zach Line. Zach Line was the only one who didn't play. Yes, Calvin. Harris did practice. Harris did practice. Yeah, Zach Line was Allison was looking at must have been looking at Twitter. Yeah, Zach Line's the other one out. Okay, real quick. The reason why the Saints were not flexed till either 4 or Sunday night. Fox, for whatever reason, protected this game. So they weren't going to be able to get flexed to Sunday Night Football. They also do not have the doubleheader that weekend. The CBS has a doubleheader, and CBS's second game is the the Patriots against the Chiefs, and they want that game for most of the rest of the country. So they were not going to flex Chiefs Patriots to noon for Saints 49ers. Rams Seahawks is a Sunday night game. There was no way that game was going to get flexed till noon kickoff. So, because that would have been 10 o'clock in the morning for both those teams. So the Saints 49ers were really stuck on where they could go because of the Chiefs Patriots game. So there wasn't that the only other option they had was I don't even know who the hell's playing Monday night, but the Saints 49ers going to Monday night. But I think that's a problem because the following week the Saints play the Colts on Monday night. So I don't think Monday night was even an option for them to get flexed to. They were trying to flex all within the same day. So yeah, it sucks for us because we really want this to be a nationally televised game. But look at it this way. The 49ers have to take a trip to the East Coast and that is a 9 o'clock game according to their body clock out there in Baltimore. Then in 7 days, they come to New Orleans to play what their body clock is going to say is a 10 o'clock game. And we're coming off of 10 days rest to play the 49ers. So the 49ers are at a disadvantage. That's a lot of wear and tear on them. It's not like they have back to back home games. This is back to back road games. This is going to be, so if there's a positive to all that, we got to look at it that way. At least that's how I feel.
Back to back.
Yep. Yep. Um, but yeah, and Calvin, I agree with you. PJ is not good away from the slot. I was surprised he played as much as he did on the outside, but they really like keeping Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on the inside. I guess to try and protect the edge against, and also to cover the tight end against Carolina. But yeah, you're going to Belize. Calvin's going to Belize.
What?
I'm telling you, he's going to Belize. That's what it says. So he'll be in Belize for Sunday, next Sunday, not this coming Sunday. So yeah, that kind of that. Well, yeah, that sucks. You're going to miss the game, but man, that's a hell of a country. That's a beautiful country to go to. But yeah, I hope that explains why the Saints didn't get flexed. But don't worry, I have a feeling we're going to be playing the 49ers again. And
Yeah.
I'd rather play them in the dome again. Any last thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, it's not often that any team is able to correctly make the statement that they sewn up their division by Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and we have the opportunity to do that.
Yep.
I hope I hope that they're focused and that they take care of business.
I think they are. I think they're mad about the way they played that game. Um, I think they know what's in front of them. Um, this is the fourth consecutive divisional game, and you're getting to see the Falcons twice within a month. That is a rivalry. Those players get it. More of a rival than the Panthers and the Bucks. So yeah, they get it, and they want to make up for that. They know what's in front of them too. So I think this is the game where they come and they take care of business. Um, I, I don't think the Falcons win this game. I really don't. Just because, and this is just a feeling I got. I think with Peyton, it's fool me once, shame on me. You're not going to fool me twice. I'll have this team focused and ready to go.
Yeah.
And being a divisional game, this is the second consecutive year we're playing on Thanksgiving against the Falcons. Yeah, being a divisional game, there's no surprises. They know what they do. And they know, and we know what they do, and they know what we do. So, it's a relatively easy week to prepare for, even though it's a short week. Yeah, win does secure the division. We'll know for sure after the weekend of football is over with, because I think if Carolina wins, it's mathematically possible for them to catch us. But uh, everyone's saying you pretty much have the division locked up, because the Saints would even hold the tiebreaker over Carolina, because I think Carolina has two divisional losses and the Saints have one. And even if they lose that last game to Carolina, I think Carolina will have three divisional losses by the end of the season. I have to go back and look. But everyone is talking pretty much that you secure the division by this weekend. Who does Carolina even play this weekend? I used to know this. I think they play Tampa. I'm not positive.
My schedule is sitting up there on the board.
I got this schedule. No, they play the Deadskins.
No.
They play the Falcons next week. Yeah, they play the Redskins, so they're probably going to win this Sunday. But they play in Atlanta against the Falcons. They host the Seahawks and play the Colts. So I don't think they won't run the table. I really don't.
I really don't either.
Yeah. Let me see how many divisional losses they have real quick. They beat the Bucks once.
No, Chad, I don't believe that that's correct. I don't think that we can take the number 1 seed this week.
Yeah.
There's too many people vying for it, and some more of the season has got to play out before that.
Okay, the Panthers have 3 divisional losses. That's why we win the division. Even if we tie, they have 3 divisional losses. They lost to the Bucks back in September. They lost to the Falcons, and they lost to us. So we win the division, regardless of what happens if we win Thursday night. Okay, that's what I need to know. I got it. I thought they had 3 divisional losses, but I wasn't sure. So even if they tie us, they have 3 divisional losses.
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay, good deal. I'll take that. Yes, we do take them 1 seed if we win this weekend and the 49ers lose. That's what has to happen. We don't get it outright. We have number 1 seed if the 49ers lose. Because
we'll go to first place in that category, if you want to call it.
Wait, 49ers only have one. 49ers only have 1 loss. I'm sorry. No. We just tie it. We don't even take the lead because the 49ers will have an AFC loss and we have 2 NFC losses. So the 49ers would still hold a tiebreaker even if they lose to Baltimore this weekend and we win because we have a Falcons and Rams loss, which I'd love to replay that Rams game now.
Yeah.
But and the 49ers would have a Baltimore loss, and I forgot who the hell they lost to the NFC. I want to say it was Seattle. Yeah, it was Seattle they lost to. Yeah. So, yeah, they you want Seattle. I hate to say this, but you really want Seattle to win the division. You really don't want the 49ers to win the division.
No, you want the 49ers to get in as a wild card. That means they'll have to be on the road.
Right, because we have the tiebreaker over Seattle. So you really want Seattle to win that division. And because Seattle will be the number 2 seed. That would be the best thing.
That's still a ways off.
Right. We get way ahead of ourselves, talking about tiebreakers. Beat the 49ers head to head. We have number 1 seed. 49ers don't win. Even if they beat us, but they don't win the division. They lose to Seattle twice. We have the number 1 seed. Well, no, we wouldn't because we'd have 3 losses and Seattle have 2. All right, never mind. We're getting too many scenarios. But we just need Seattle to win the division. That would be a lot better than the 49ers. I don't like playing in San Francisco. I really don't.
I have bad memories.
Right. I don't like playing in Seattle either, but I really don't like playing in San Francisco.
Yeah, that just.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Any last thoughts?
Let's go get it.
There we go. All right. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. I'm sorry we have to suffer through the Bears and the Lions first, and then you got a damn Cowboys game. And who are the Cowboys even playing? I don't even know. I think they're playing somebody terrible. I think they're playing the Giants or someone. No, they can't be playing the Giants. I don't know. I don't care either. It's just a warm up for the for the Saints Falcons game. That's all that matters. So everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Get your nap early during the Dallas game so you're wide awake to watch the Saints Falcons game. And they're wearing a color rush this weekend.
Yes, indeed.
So chances are the Falcons going to have their color rush on, so like ketchup bottles, while we look awesome.